Welcome back to another Not As Debatable. I am Sidney Smith. That is my brother to my side there, Dion Curry. What is good, Master Debaters? Thank you guys for joining us for another show. I'm going to let you guys start to filter in a little bit before I reveal our surprise. While we're waiting for some of you guys to jump in, I want to go ahead and give everyone a shout out there who is a member of our Patreon, a patron of our Patreon. Thank you guys very much. We appreciate you. As I tell you every week, you help us keep the lights on. So we love you. We appreciate you. And thank you for loving us the way that you do. For all of our folks out there who watch us on YouTube live, I see Mary Ballard just hopped in. Thank you guys for jumping on and watching us there. Shout out to everybody who watches us on Facebook Live. We thank you. We appreciate you. And for everyone who watches, or I should say listens on YouTube, shout out to you guys for doing that as well. We love you guys. We appreciate you. Keep it going. Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher. Please share the show. If you're enjoying it, share the show. We appreciate if you would just share, subscribe, tell somebody about it. We try to get the word out as best we can, but if you guys will help, we would really appreciate it. Same thing for you folks who watch us on Facebook Live and YouTube. Don't let us be a secret. I guess that's the big thing I'm trying to say. Don't let us be a secret. And right now, go ahead and click that share button if you are watching us right now on Facebook Live. With all that said, what is good, my brother Dion
It's a
Curry? How you
lot.
doing?
Happy Monday to you, Sid. Happy Monday to you, August. Happy Monday to all our master debaters. Another week,
Hello.
another show. It was a eventful weekend for you, Sid. You were on stage.
Yep,
I was
yep,
very,
yep.
very happy to watch that IG reel and see some of the pictures that you posted on
Thanks, man.
Facebook. So, congrats to you.
Thanks, man.
Me personally, I had a very, very chill, low key weekend. Did not do much. I only left the house one time. I've been writing some stuff. We got the WGA strike, so I've been taking this time to work on some new material.
There you go.
I'm looking forward to try and get a album recorded on by the end of the year. So I've been
Okay,
working on
okay,
some new stuff.
okay. Love it. Love it. We always grinding, y'all. We always grind. All we ask for is a little help from you. With no further ado, and I'll get into some of the stuff that Dion just mentioned it, uh, we are going to bring up our surprise for you. So let me go ahead and add her. For folks who do not know the blurry vision person you see there,
It wasn't so blurry.
that
It
is
ain't blurry on my side.
just take it easy, play. that is that is my sister. I call her my big little sister, August O'Neill, hilarious comedian herself. She will now be our tech screener, if you will, for anybody out there who's listening to a talk show on the radio. You know they have screeners to make sure don't no bullshit get filtered through or get through. So they filter it out. So August
Yeah.
will be doing that, but the most important thing August is going to do for us is make sure that Dion and I don't look illiterate as we read some of
That too.
these comments that get sent over to us because sometimes it's a little too wordy, sometimes it's misspelled, and sometimes we just can't see it. So August is going to handle that side of things for us, and we do appreciate it. August is already getting some love over here. See
I
Carla
see
saying
that.
I
Oh,
love you.
hi. Thank you.
And from time to time, as she likes to call
Bless you.
herself, as Robin does on the Howard Stern show, August will be chiming in with some comments from time to time, which is why I'm sure she's referring herself as Robin because Howard does let her speak. I said you gonna be a screener, and the first thing she said, "Oh, like Robin." You know damn well Robin don't screen no fucking calls. so,
Hey, I was giving her some type of title. I know she's a coach, but she needs to do something else. But
so August will be with us every week, hopefully, while
yeah.
we do the show going forward. All right, before we jump into the show, and welcome August, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Thank you.
Before we jump into the show, I did want to say thank you to everybody who did come out to see me at CB Live. It was an awesome three shows that I had with Brett Ernst, one of my favorite guys to work with. Luis Alvarez, another funny dude I love getting a chance to work with. So shout out to everyone. I have some more pictures I'm gonna throw up. Slim and the whole crew came out. August was there with her girls. It was a good time. So more shows to come, obviously, but I just want to get those shout outs. All right. August, ma'am,
Yes.
what is our first topic?
Our first topic is, can a criminal ever really pay their debt back to society? And I already have one comment in here. The person said, not, well, they said anyone but a sex offender.
Anyone but a sex offender. Okay, before we hit that, you know what? Because we're doing this new, I'm kind of I'm messing my own stuff up. Can you go to some of the comments? Do we have some folks who already jumped in? We got some names of folks who saying what's up or hello to us at all? Who's out there?
Yes, that'll be Carla Lorraine, Kat Miro, Slim, of course, is in here. Lotus Shine. Ooh, I like that name.
What up, Lotus?
Okay. What's this? Millie Talone. Millie Talone.
Malay.
I got to put my, oh, Malay.
Yeah.
Malay. Okay, look, that looks like an L, but it might be an I.
All right. Move on. Who's next? Who's next?
And Bruce.
Bruce.
Bruce Belter. Y'all shut it.
Already run into the same issue. Put your glasses on.
Like this.
Out here trying to work without your glasses. Put some contacts on or something. All right, let's go. Let's go ahead and jump into a topic here. So the first one is: can a criminal ever pay their debt to society? Dion, I want to hear from you first before we go to the comments. As always, folks, we want to hear from you guys. We have August here; she'll be keeping track of the comments. So you guys let us know what you think as well, and don't forget to click that share button. Dion, what's your thoughts on it, bro?
So normally you and I discuss the topics beforehand, before we actually bring them to the show. And then you brought this to me about a couple hours ago, and it's a very good question. And my answer is it depends on the crime. Obviously, if you are a petty criminal, yes, you can repay your debt to society. If you steal from somebody, you can replace what you stole depending on what it is you stole. Now, if you took somebody's life, obviously they can never get that life back. So, no, I don't think in that regard that you could ever pay back the crime that you committed. Somebody said something about sex offending, and I also agree. I don't think that you can ever repay the person that you offended in that regard. But when we like parking tickets and child support, that type of thing, white collar crime to a certain extent, I think you can rehabilitate yourself from doing those type of things. You can pay back society what you have taken from society and the public. I think it is possible. Now, the way that we do that, I wouldn't necessarily say that is possible because I don't think prison is about rehabilitation at all. Of all the things prison does, rehabilitate people is not one of them. So to answer the question, yes, but in practicality and real life, no, not really.
Well, so here's my thing. If we're talking about can you repay the debt, I think that's different than can you be rehabilitated. And if we're going to say, if the answer to your question is yes or no, because I see someone already, or August already said it, someone said sex offender, then are we trying to say only certain felons or certain criminals can repay it? Because if that's the case, then we should be wiping whatever group of people that you want to say they can't repay that off the earth, I guess.
Well, let me ask you this: who gets to decide how the debt is paid? Right.
I,
So if I don't forgive you for what you did to me, then your debt is never paid.
I said to society. I didn't say to the victim. I said
Well,
to society.
the
Because right,
victim lives in society, right?
no, yeah, but that's not. I think I see what you're trying to do. That's not what that even means, Dion. Doesn't mean can you repay the debt to the person that was the
Well,
victim. That means to all of
again,
society.
okay, right. So if all of society agrees with the victim, then no, you can't repay your debt. If the victim hasn't forgiven you, the chances of society forgiving you are much slimmer than as if the victim is like, you know what, I'm a co-sign to this person's rehabilitation and their payment to the debt, so to speak. You have a much higher chance of being reincorporated into social life if the person you offended vouches for you.
Right, but here's the problem that you are going to have with this, because now you're asking that the victim be consulted in all things. Now the victim needs to be involved in the punishment The victim needs to be involved if you're going to get out. All these different things. And that is not the way that our system works. Yes, can they come and make some victim statement at the end when you're found guilty? Sure. They do that to be kind. Can you come and speak when they go ahead and say, hey, they're deciding if they're going to parole you or not? Absolutely. Again, to be kind. But not everybody wants to be a part of that.
You said the
It's,
key word.
go ahead.
Your key words was how our system works. And that's where I argue our system doesn't work because it doesn't rehabilitate people. It doesn't get people back into society. When you go to prison, the debt that you accrue versus the crime that you commit are often not the same. And so you have people on felonious drug charges with no victim, and these people can't vote. These people can't own firearms. These people can't get jobs. And so that's the system. And that's why I say it's a load of crap. It just
Well,
depends on what you do.
well, and that goes along with it.
But
So
we have a few comments.
just 1 second, August. I do want to go to them just
Okay.
1 second. But that goes to it as well. If we are saying that they can, if we are saying that this person's paid their debt to society, we still have antiquated rules. One of the top ones I dislike is the fact that you are not allowed to vote. I do not think you should lose your right to vote if you are going to release that person back into the world. They should be allowed to participate in the political arena like everyone else is allowed to do it. And so that is one, but that's not the only issue I have. August, if you go to some comments first, please.
Yes, Chelsea Chavez says it depends on the crime. I'm not forgiving someone who shoots up a school.
Okay. All right. Any more? What else?
All right. Oh, yes. I'll give you just a moment. Bruce Belter states the level or crime is what it should be all based on, but some people can't get over being in prison. And then Slim has his comment pedos can expire in prison. Everybody else, do your time and go on about your life.
Okay.
But
All right.
I'm sure he did the head thing too.
See,
Definitely did.
on paper, that's fantastic, but in reality, it doesn't work that way.
Doesn't. And so that's the thing right there. That's why I wanted to bring this up. And I'm going to tell folks why. Because I have a friend of mine who has a cousin who was a coach and had an issue with one of the girls on his team, and he ended up getting himself into trouble. Didn't do any serious time for anything, probation forever. Finally, kind of coming out of that mess. But in the middle of coming out of it, his kids now have had to quit their soccer team. They've had to leave their church. The private school that they were going to kick them out. So all of these other things have been affected based off of this. No one's saying now. I don't know if the guy did what he did or did not do what he did. I'm going based off of what he's accused of, what he was convicted of, and now he has been out, done all of the things that the court system asked for him to do, and all of these things are still occurring. So, which is why I thought about this, and not just because of that situation, but just people in general. Even going back again to the voting, if you have done what the law says you have to do in terms of your time, all of your classes, paying your fines, doing your probation time as well, is there not supposed to be a certain amount of time after all of that where you've paid your debt, man, and you cannot continue to be punished for these things going forward? Yeah.
No, because society isn't a courtroom, and
Okay.
that's the truth of the matter. The court can say you're forgiven, but society doesn't ever have to forgive. We watch that all the time, where people do make mistakes and people never forgive them. I mean, you can look at Chris Brown, you can look at Trump. I mean, just pick any figure who's done something ridiculous. A majority of people will never forgive them for what they did. I mean, everybody says America is the land of second chances, but that second chance is only if you can provide something that the greater of society misses. If you don't provide anything that the greater society can't get somewhere else, then they don't give a fuck about you. No one gives two
Do you agree
shits.
that that's okay? Do you agree that that is right?
It doesn't matter if it's right or wrong. The majority rules in society. So
Well, your point, your thoughts on this today actually matters. That's what I'm asking you. Do you believe that to be right?
personally,
Yeah.
no.
Okay.
because America is the biggest perpetrator of it, if you really want to take it there. But
Hmm.
you know, it is what it is. As a collective group, we have all decided that certain people don't get to come back. Kanye West, for example, you don't get to come back. You, it depends on what you do and how you did it, and then what you do after the fact that you got caught doing what you did. So, you know, Kanye did what he did. Adidas took the deal. Now it's rumored that he's out there working with Adidas again because they need that money. They realize that,
Yes.
oh shit, as much as we think we don't need him, we actually do. But the die has already been cast, and so
We
you
don't like
know it
Jews as
is
much
what.
as we thought we did.
Yeah, and so they weren't buying this. They weren't buying the shoes anyway, and so it's like, you know, you take a look at Bud Light and what they did, and how their marketing strategy kind of backfired. They lost all these, you know, right wing bars and, you know,
Hmm.
places where their beer was being sold, so their market share took a hit. Now they're trying to come back and redo it and say, "Oh, I apologize," blah 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 blah. But like, it's all the damage has already been done, and we know people who are angry do not forgive. And so, whatever amount of time it takes in order for you to be forgiven is really the true testament of whether or not you can come back into society.
Here's my thing. Hey, August, let me ask you something.
I
I think
I
that's
have
your
a
phone. I think that's your phone. I'm hearing. You cut the volume
no.
down.
My It's not my phone.
Okay, I'm hearing.
My volume is down.
I'm hearing us some for some reason. Uh, August, I'm gonna go to you. Just give me 1 second here, Dion. You know,
Okay.
it's interesting that you brought up Bud Light, and folks out there, we're gonna go to your comments as well about our initial. So we're not switching up on you. Stay with us. It is weird that they did lose the amount of folks, the market share that they lost, but I don't think it's a long term thing for them. I think people will come back. It's not as if they were selling these cans. I think if they were actually selling these cans and you saw them on your shelves and they couldn't snatch them back off the shelf, that would be something different. But I do think they'll regain those folks back, those bars included, sooner than later.
But see, and that's where I politely have to disagree with you. I don't think once you piss off people in a way that you piss them off, like what they're mad at, you can't undo that. So Bud Light's problem is they went quote unquote woke. And in the eyes of the people who were buying
Hmm.
that beer, that is a cardinal sin. You cannot do that. That is an affront to who they are as people. And so the second you do that, the amount of time it's going to take, I mean, unless you're doing crazy discounts on that beer to the point where it can compete with Natty Ice and Bush Light and all the other Blue Ribbon and all that other shitty beer, people are just going to go because it's not like Bud Light, you know, controlled the market share. It wasn't like it was untouchable beer. It's like people will replace it.
Well, and
Whereas
that's
on the flip side of it, what you were trying to gain, the trans community's not drinking Bud Light like that. They're drinking seltzers and that type of stuff. So it's just,
Cosmopolitans.
yeah, it for whatever reason that crime, you can't undo it. Now I don't know how much time it's going to take, but from what I've noticed on the just in this particular instance, those people are very slow to forgive, and they never forget.
well, we'll have to come back to that when we see what happens if they do start to get that market share back or not. August, you want to say something there? You want to throw a couple cents in?
I was gonna say, has O.J. Simpson repaid his debt to society?
Oh, he was never convicted, so
Yeah.
there
But you
is
know
no
the
debt.
motherfucker
We was,
did
which we
He was never convicted. There's
he's
no
for
debt to pay.
something else.
he
He
got
was
convicted for
convicted for
stealing
something else.
his own stuff.
Yeah, he got
Yes.
convicted for that. Yeah,
Exactly.
but he went to
But you
jail
know
and
how.
he went to jail. He got out. So yeah, he paid his debt to
Mm,
society in terms of that. What's the comments we got there, Miss O'Neill?
all right. All right. Here we go. Here we go. Small time crime should not keep people from getting jobs, especially those that use their time away to learn a skill and do better for themselves. That's from Bruce. Carla Lorraine states pedos and rapists should never be allowed any rights. They took the right away from someone who said no. So guess what? No, they have no rights.
Okay,
Frank Teles states, just because they do the time for the
still Frank.
crime, that is not enough. They have to prove themselves that they have to prove themselves and show that they belong back in society.
Okay, let's start.
Now,
August,
Bruce
I'm
also,
gonna stop
okay,
right there real quick. Dan, I don't know if I agree
okay.
with that. I don't know if I agree that there's some type of test you got to take to prove? I mean, we already leave that up to the parole board before they let you out, to let you out based off your record and whatever it is that you state to them during your hearing. So I think that is kind of your final test. Would you agree with that?
No, because you don't live in the court system, you live in society. And society judges you based off what the court system says you did. We don't judge you on the time that you spent in. We judge you on what you did to go in the first place. So you can be go into to serve your time and repay your debt to society by being behind bars for X amount of years. But that doesn't mean you've changed as a person. And so when you get out, whether you did hard time or soft time, people are going to look at you as someone who was
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
time.
yeah. But how are you supposed to prove this? And I'm going based off of my brother-in-law, Frank. There, his statement, and that's where I'm going with this. All based off his. That's the point we're on. How are you supposed to prove that though to society? You know,
But
if we're talking about that, then society has left it up to the courts, the jurisdiction. I'm sorry, the courts and the jury, the justice system to make this decision based off
no,
information that they have. Yes, absolutely.
the society leaves the punishment up to the justice system. But when you get done with the punishment, society still can decide whether or not that punishment was enough or not. And you, as the person who offended, don't have the right to tell people, hey, man, I did my time. I'm, again, the victim decides when you are, quote unquote, done with your debt. I don't know how we as a society could say, oh, this person did this, he served X amount of years, I'm fine with that. And then the next person come along, same thing, and they're not okay with it. That's just how fickle this society is. We as a culture are slow to forgive people. We love a comeback story, but it just depends on the situation. I mean, everybody loves the underdog, right? Everybody loves when you hear about a man who went to prison when he was 15, 16, 17 years old for something stupid, comes out and then goes and talks to the kids and helps them stay out of the same path that he went down. Everybody loves that. But at the same time, that person who did that had to struggle immensely once that situation was over to get to that point. And there is no time frame for people who go in and come out and say, oh, it only took me 3 years for society to accept me. It just depends on what you do.
For folks who are just jumping on to the podcast or who are just jumping on to YouTube or Facebook Live right now, the discussion we are having, I keep looking up because I have it written on the dry erase board in front of me here, is can a criminal ever pay their debts to society? So if you're just jumping on, that is what we're discussing. Look, as a conservative, as someone who loves the justice system, generally speaking, I find myself kind of torn on it because it is supposed to work in a particular way. And again, as society, we have quietly or not, you have agreed to be a member of this group. This is the way that this works. You pay your debt. This is the way that it has always been. This is the way that has always been stated. This is just the way it is. So again, we don't even have to talk about whether the victim feels this way or that way. Because if you are a victim, then you are a victim, and you are always going to feel like you've been wrong. We cannot say that we can't move forward or that individual can't move forward based off of how the victim feels. There's a good chance that victim is always going to feel negative about that experience, whatever that experience may be. But do we put up these roadblocks for people? Because then what you have, Dion, and we see it in a large part of our own community, now you have forced people who have come out to have a hard time with becoming a part of society and getting jobs and so on and so forth. And a lot of those people end up committing crimes again and going back in because it is very hard for them to come out and start over. Thoughts?
Well, part of
Institutionalized.
the part of the part of deterrent, you try to deter people from ever going in because you tell them once you go in, it's damn near impossible to get out. We all know how the system works. You go in, you get institutionalized, as I just said, and then you're in this cycle. Once you get on probation, it's very hard to get off. The recidivism rate is very, very high, and there's a reason for that. They make money off you going in there.
Absolutely.
And so society, once you break the rule of society where you don't commit crimes and you get caught, Society doesn't have a need for you. You're just a criminal to society. Society doesn't care whether or not you've turned your life around. They'll society will tell you, "Hey, go prove it." Is that fair? Probably not. But that's the point. You're not supposed to ever be in that situation in the first place. Separate
Yeah.
issue, when you talk about the justice system, a lot of people go in who should never be in there in the first place, whether they are wrongly convicted or their crime had no victim in the first place.
Hmm.
So there's lots of layers to this, but generally speaking,
Definitely, definitely.
if you go in and you come out, you should already know before you even got in that that road back is a very uphill battle, and society is not going to stop to hear yo, but I paid my debt, because they don't care. We Everybody's life
Yeah.
goes on. Everybody keeps doing what they got to do to stay out of that situation. And so, again, when you ask for forgiveness, whether it be serving time or to the victim itself, whether or not they choose to forgive you is up to them. And all you can do is keep going forward.
August, can we go to some more comments? I'm sure we got quite a few of them, I'm assuming.
Yes, Raven Gregory is crazy. He said it depends on if it's him or not. Then yeah, give that little shit a second chance.
Raven, you
You
stupid.
know he's off.
You stupid,
He
Raven.
said, but you can't. We did say you can't prove it to society. You can only prove it to yourself. You can't control how society perceives you. So, I mean, that's either for good or for bad. Frank Tillis states, by being a good role model, a good model citizen, hardworking, and staying away from crime-like activities, and not to be a repeat offender. That's really how you pay your debt to society.
You know
And,
what, Frank. That's a good. I'm sorry, August. Frank, that's I like that. It's not.
yeah,
That's not anything I thought about. If
yeah.
there is a way that you're going to try to do it, yeah, that would be a great way to do it. I'm sorry, August. Go ahead.
Oh, no problem. Okay, wait, where's the other one? Let's see. And here's Raven again. You can only mitigate how society looks at you and what they get to see. If you go live in Africa, but if you go live in Africa and take care of starving children to redeem yourself, but no one sees it, you see it. Who who does it? Why does it matter? That's what he's trying to say. And
I
that
got you. I got you.
the wording is a little off. And someone said, "Wait, you love the justice system? The just us system?" You know who that was? That was Slim. And then he said, "But with the O.J. Simpson thing, society still cannot stand him, even though he was not convicted." And that's exactly how I feel.
Okay.
All right. And let's see here. Someone else said, Carla said, it depends on the crime. My dad got arrested once for not paying my dog's license. His dog's license. Shit like that is different. That's not like a real criminal thing, is it? Not paying your dog's
I
license?
didn't know you get arrested for it. So Carla, we'll have to talk about
I know.
that. Okay.
I'll say, like my uncle was arrested. He killed somebody, and then he was released after 25 years. He was a scrub then, and he is still a scrub now. So no, he has not necessarily repaid his debt to society. I don't think, because he hasn't necessarily killed anyone, but he has not bettered himself or his life or his children's lives. Period. Plain and simple.
I think that's two different things. Any more comments, August?
Is it? I know, because he sucks.
Any more
Let's see here.
comments?
Because he didn't come back out here and make it better. Like, I don't know.
I hear you. Is it
Marisa Hannigan says you can petition the court to have your rights restored to vote again.
okay? Okay. Okay. All right. All right.
And that's the last of it.
All right. I'd like to see how
We've
often
got
that
some in the
happens.
we've got some in the group that I want to read.
Okay. What you got, sir?
So Joanne Little says 100% sex offenders, proven you can't rehabilitate those sickos. Most other crimes, I'd say yes.
Okay.
Rotzi says yes, they could potentially be rehabilitated and pay their debts to society. There are so many variables and factors to take into account. I also recognize that I am biased because of my criminal defense experience. She goes on to say the justice system is broken, especially the juvenile justice system. We have a lot of youth
Mm.
lost in this system that is disregarded and ignored. We keep missing opportunities with these kids. Most of them just get pushed into the adult system. Tamiko says, if you mess with kids sexually, especially coaches, teachers, church, etc., you don't get a second chance. I have a 10-year-old daughter. I'm also a victim of molestation as a child. The person was never punished. That shit is unforgivable. Robert Brock says, if you pay, you pay. The prison system is a corporate system. Some people don't deserve that type of punishment, but the corporate system depends on convictions. As a society, we need to relook at our punishment. He goes on to say the criminal system is ran by corporations. As a former city councilman, I have seen firsthand how they lobby. The system is set up for people not to rehabilitate. And then the last comment here is, Sydney.
Nope.
If Tamiko says, and if the convicted predator's family is suffering, whose fault is that? You fucked with a kid at a school and got caught. Cry me a fucking river. You should have thought about how your family could be affected when you did what you did.
Okay. All right. I love the comments, guys. Keep them rolling in. I appreciate everyone taking part in it. I really, really do. Again, if you guys disagree with me or agree, and Dion or August for that matter, when she chimes in, please throw us a heart up there or a thumbs up, thumbs down. We would love to see that as well. And don't forget to click that share button. Tamiko, I definitely get it. And anyone else out there, I think Tamiko is the only person who shared it. But if anyone else out there, completely get if you are a victim of any type of sex crime. And I definitely can understand, even if you're not a victim of it, there's people who are not, who still feel what they feel because the kids are the innocents. So I'm completely get that, completely understand that as well. But again, it was a question that kind of crossed my mind. I said, hey, I want to ask the group and see what the group thought.
I got a question for you then. Let's
Yeah.
kind of look at the flip side of this. As someone who comes out of the criminal justice system and you go back into society, what are you expecting society to forgive in order for you to live the type of life that you're looking for? What are you hoping or expecting from society that you aren't, quote unquote, getting necessarily?
Well, just to make sure people understand, because I think the way you asked the question makes it sound like that I'm coming out.
No. I was framing the question as if you were somebody. Yeah, I know.
I
I'm
was
not
like,
saying
being
you're
part like,
criminal.
who?
Sounds like
No.
sounds like people gonna think Sidney been doing his podcast from his prison cell for the last 3 years.
That's why you so yoked up now. You got them prison
About to get out.
You got that get off me muscle. Yeah.
yard arms.
I do nothing with my legs. All right, so but to answer your question, I think the basic things, just being able to go out and get a job and something more than mopping floors or moving boxes. If you have the education, the background, or whatever to do that type of work.
But then the argument becomes preference.
Say again?
The argument then becomes preference, does it not? As a private company, you have the preference to
I would agree with you.
look at that.
I would agree with you, but but you are automatically not going to be. Look, I know what people are going to say, and we're not talking about just child molesters or people who've offended a child. We're not talking about just that. I'm talking about across the board to be able to come back out and put yourself in a position. Yes, you committed a crime. Yes, you did something wrong. Maybe you were young. Maybe you were middle aged. I have no idea. And maybe it was the circumstances that put you into that situation. Who knows? But if you have paid your debt to society and are coming out, I think you have to be given a shot to try to be better than you were before. That's the thing that we all want. The only thing that changes that person than from the rest of us right now is the fact that we will all want a second chance. If I offended you, Dion, on a phone call tomorrow, we got into it and just had words we never had before, so we're bound to do it at some point. But if I felt the next day like, man, I shouldn't say that to my brother, I would want a second opportunity for us to mend our friendship and to move forward. And I think you would want the same thing. That's all anybody wants is a second opportunity to do better. We talk about it. There's memes about it. There's fucking motivational speakers who talk about it. And we all sit there, yeah, we click, we follow, we send it on to someone. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Right. You're allowed to ask for the chance, but you're not guaranteed to get it.
No,
You can ask
no.
all day long.
Nope.
But
If you're paid your debt, that is automatic. You have paid
But see,
your
that's
debt.
but that's the difference. You don't pay your debt to society by going to prison. You that
Then we need to come up with a squash ball tournament or
The
something for people to pay
the
the
only thing
that
that
makes sense
does
to
is
me.
keep you from doing whatever it is you did before you went in there. When you're in there, you're not doing anything beneficial to society other than not being a part of it. So
That's the
how are
benefit.
you
What are you talking about? You just said two things at once.
right? That's what I'm saying. So the only thing I'm getting is the opportunity for you to not do what you did, right? And so you spend X amount of years in there not being able to do what it is that got you in there. Then you come out and you ask society to forgive you, and society is going to look at you just like we all look at everybody who is not one of our preferences. Nah, because you've got X amount of strikes on your record. That a company now there we've created laws to where you can't discriminate against people who have served time. I think it 2019 2020 where they created that new law where you can't ask
No,
people if
you're right.
they have been
You're right. You're right.
on job applications
I think
anymore
you're right.
because of the discriminating factor. Like we've created laws to make that a thing, but at the same time if people know your history then they have the ability to fuck with you or not. And whether it's fair or not, we could argue that all day. It's just that boils down to preference. But I personally think that if you go in there, you should before you go in there, you should know what you're getting yourself into when you're doing whatever it is that you're doing.
Before we go do the rest of the comments and I'm sorry, Dion. Before we go to the rest of the comments and move on to our next topic, I want to make sure we get to the rest of those comments.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
before we
There's a
do, I
few.
wanted to go back to Dion. Can you go back to the first part of not Tamiko? Whose comment was it? Not Roberts, not the city council. Who else was it that you read?
Roxy,
Yeah, thank you, Roxy. Like that first couple lines of hers.
of her very first comment, the justice system is broken about the juveniles. Is that
Yeah, yeah, about the juveniles. Sir, please.
so? The system is broken, especially the juvenile justice system. We have a lot of youth lost in the system that is disregarded and ignored. We keep missing opportunities with these kids. Most of them just get pushed into the
Thank
adult
you. Right
system.
there. Yep. Thank you. So, just to touch on that real quick, I do believe overall that this is part of the issue. I do believe, and this is where I think you and I are going to line up. I do believe that the justice system has turned, as Robert Scott Brock was saying, allowed itself to be taken over by corporate interest. And I do believe that everything that is done from our politicians when it comes to especially a lot of the black and brown kids, or white kids for that matter, just kids in the inner city, period, with things, you and I talked about this with San Francisco, with things being taken away from them, programs, after school programs, and all these different things that fall under that umbrella, which only turns them out into the streets in a lot of cases, and turns them out onto the street to criminals who would have them do whatever, which has them go off into the juvenile system, which ignores them, I believe, as Roxy just said, and they go from that into the adult system, and then it's just another thing, just churning out criminals like they're fucking cattle because there's a dollar sign just floating above their heads from when they're a small child growing up. What do you?
So let me get this straight. You think society should do a better job taking care of its people instead of trying to earn money off the backs of people's bad decisions?
Don't try it. Nice try, sir.
You,
Nice try.
you just really sounded like a socialist for a second, and I was just making sure I heard you correctly because I
Nice
could have
try.
sworn you said something about
Nice
maybe we
try.
need to find a better way to
Nice
take care of
try.
people than stripping all their rights away and
Nice, nice try.
milking them for all the cash we could get. Wow, what a concept! Who
Nice
knew
try.
that you would come
Nice.
around to see the light?
Nice try.
Man.
August, if you
Somebody
go to the
write
comments,
down today's date and make sure we get a timestamp for that because I thought I'd never live to see the
let me
day to
cut
hear
your sound.
Sydney
Let me cut your mic.
repeat what
Coming
I've
to the
been
dark
saying on
side.
this podcast for 3 years. Thank you
Whatever.
very much.
I did not say all of that. You love to take one little thing I said and somehow
I
it turns into all of
I
this.
know what I heard,
No, you
and
ain't
I
heard
know what
that.
everybody in the group and everybody watching heard. We all
Yeah.
heard the exact same
No, we
thing.
did
Yeah,
not.
maybe we do need to do a better job as a
That's
society.
not what we.
You're
that's,
right.
That's not what we
You're
said.
right.
That's
That's
funny.
not. August, go ahead.
Are you
Please.
ready?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Fuck you, Dion.
Cat Miro says, but do you want someone who lost? Cat Miro said, but do you want someone who lost a ton of money or stole money back in their old job? That's what she said in regards to that person, well, society. And then Melee says, I'm going to get off pedos and go to crimes such as selling or things like that. For them to, okay, hurry. For them to no be able to get a job or a place to live is, in my opinion, harsh. My brother has 2 strikes and now he's selling weed. Now that selling weed is legal, but he still has to say he is a convicted felon. That
Yeah,
makes sense.
that
Okay.
is that is
That's a big
definitely
thing.
yeah, that's an argument that has been
Yeah.
made quite a lot over the years, Malay, and
Hmm.
definitely now with them allowing for
But
legal
we do
dispensaries
understand why that was a crime, right? When
because the government hadn't figured out a way to make money off of it yet. That's
no,
all.
the government knew how to make money off of it. They just wanted to penalize black and brown people.
No, I
It
no,
wasn't it
I
wasn't
don't.
about everybody knows black and white people do drugs about the same rates across the board, right?
I
Everybody knows that.
look
But
because
I can win votes. You gotta look at the breadcrumbs. I can win votes by saying I'm tough on crime
you
by
got to look at the
criminalizing
money.
people. Exactly. Look at the money. Look how much money private prisons made by locking up black and brown people for petty fucking crimes that
And what I'm
everybody does.
and what I'm
And
saying, and now the government and everyone can make more money by letting it be legal and letting people get a license, pay for that shit, and sell it legally. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying you're completely wrong. You're wrong a lot, but you're not completely wrong on this one.
I haven't been wrong on this episode, and I'm going to tell you why. Because the idea of the idea of licensing didn't come about until the people who this shit was affecting rose up and started voting in people who would make a change to the law. They didn't do this. It wasn't just some overnight decision like, oh, you know what? Fuck it. Let's make it legal and just start making money off of it. No, that's not what happened. People who were affected by it got into power and changed the laws. And so in order to stay in your seat, you had to, what did you do? You had to what's the
Listen to
compromise? You
your
had to be like,
people.
all right, I'll let weed be legal, but you got to give me
No,
something over here.
sir. No, sir. No, sir. No, sir. Because if that was the case, you would see it legal from coast to coast federally, and you haven't seen it yet. No, sir. Certain states, certain areas have figured out the amount of money, like Colorado, for instance, has figured out, fuck, get high all you want to. We're
Blue,
racking up billions of dollars into this. We're going to rack
blue
more
state,
money into that than putting people into prison. Follow the
it's a
money,
blue
not the
state.
breadcrumbs.
It's a blue state. Yeah.
Call it whatever you want.
We're,
Call it whatever you want.
I mean, okay, so look at all the factors to determine why it's legal, where it's legal at. The majority of people in the places where it's legal are what? Liberal. The places where it's illegal are majority what? Conservative. It's an ideology, right? And you're not going to win in a red state off of let's
We'll
make
pull the
weed
map up
legal.
later, and I'm sure there's plenty of red states that have weed legal. Yeah, unless you have a map in front of you right now saying different, there's no way you're going to say that the red states are
The
locked out of this.
majority
The
of
red
the
states want
South,
money too.
the majority of the South is not legal.
That's the South. There's a lot more of the country that's
Okay, then
conservative than the South.
okay, so but I'm asking you where it's legal at.
All right,
All those
let's.
states are blue.
Okay, no, they're
So
not. Let's
The
go
rest
ahead
of the
and go to the
comments,
next topic. Yeah,
then
let's go to
before
some
we
comments.
transition.
I'm gonna go Google it.
Okay.
Bastard.
So while you reading them
Bruce
comments, I'm gonna
Belcher. All right, thank you, sir. Bruce Belcher said people should be given a chance based on circumstances, but they have to understand that they will be watched on a different level. Cat Miro states criminals are not even given the ability to ask for forgiveness. There used to be a time kids used to be able to go into the military instead of going into a juvenile facility. And I agree with that.
All right, Dion, we got
And then
anything
someone
from the?
said,
Okay.
Victoria said, come on, Texas.
I'm sorry.
And then Bruce said, most governors of red states that haven't legalized it yet are waiting on the government to legalize it.
Okay.
So,
All right.
so
Dion,
you got
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead,
and
Dion.
Charles is laughing.
pulled up the map. So you got where it's completely legalized. You got Oregon, Washington, California, Alaska, Nevada, Montana, Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, Illinois, Missouri, Michigan, Maine, New York, Vermont, Massachusetts, Delaware, Rhode Island,
So you got a good
New
mix.
Jersey, and Virginia,
Yeah, you got
right?
a good mix. Yeah.
The rest of the states, it's a. You look at the map of the South, it's decriminalized, which means they're not going to lock you up if you got some.
Yeah.
But if you move in weight, they're not allowing that. And if you're trying to set up a shop, they're not allowing that.
I mean, it's
So,
headed in that direction. I like to get my money into one of these systems real quick though before I miss
of
out on this
course,
boat. Dion, were there any comments, sir, from anyone in the group before we transition?
um,
And thank you guys for jumping in with us. We appreciate it.
let's see here. Uh, Roxy says also decriminalize prostitution. LOL. Well,
You want everywhere to be like Vegas, don't you, Roxy?
I mean, with the advent of OnlyFans, it's pretty much decriminalized.
Yeah, pretty much.
Lunatic Coleman says you can never repay the government.
Who said that?
Robert Scott, Lunatic Coleman.
Who the hell is that? That's what I thought you said. What's up, lunatic?
Robert says, agree, in Europe it's regulated, talking about prostitution. He says, you shouldn't have to expect society to forgive. By their rules, you paid by doing your time for your crimes. That's where the problem is. Too many people aren't given a chance. Joanne Little says, I've just gone through the system with my son. Luckily, he is a minor, and they didn't just throw the book at him. It did make me way more open-minded to people making mistakes. However, luckily, he's got parents who are on his ass constantly to keep him straight, along with medication.
Good for you.
We got to catch them when they are young. Tamiko says, what Sydney is saying, I agree with, but we all know when they fill out that app and the question appears, have you ever been convicted of a felony? Most employers are going to be like, oh, hell no. And that's kind of not fair, but I get it. Dana says, I would always love a second chance. Also, you need a liberal on this show. Just saying.
Who said that?
Hello, I'm on Dana.
Dion is our liberal. Dana, what are you talking about?
Robert Scott says, Tamiko Owens, yep, it's loaded question like when is your birthday and are you a disabled veteran? There has to be consequences, but at what cost to what we strive to be a humane society? Roxy said, let the hoes be hoes.
And Slim said the weed is legal in Canada. Charles
It is.
said,
They smoke on the streets of Vancouver like you would not believe.
He over here talking like
Do
he going
they?
to Canada.
Oh,
He ain't
wow.
going to Canada.
I've been to Canada. I
Not
did shows
you.
in
No,
Vancouver.
not you. No, Slim.
Oh, Slim.
They're talking about Canada. Any place he
Y'all know
goes
you got buddy
south of
passes.
here. He ain't going nowhere north of here. Unless it's North Vegas. He ain't going nowhere north. Thank you guys very much for all your comments. We have more eyeballs on the show this week than we've had in a long time. So we do appreciate that. Again, please click that share button if you haven't. We do appreciate you. You may see, if you're new to the show or if you've been here before, you'll see me shortly scroll at the bottom the information for the Patreon. You guys can jump on, get some things that we offer there. You can do it for as little as $1, become a patron of the Patreon. So we would appreciate if you would at least take a look at it. And if you decide to go ahead and do $1, that'd be great. We appreciate it. All right, let's go to our next topic. Miss August O'Neill, if you would.
You want me to play the drums or just do a fake drum roll? Bam!
Extra.
Second topic.
Extra. like
Look into them.
somebody's drunk aunt at the family reunion. Like, who's that over there? You can overtake your girlfriend over there. Don't worry about it. Don't look right now.
Just push the goddamn button, will you?
All right, the second topic is, what are your thoughts on Ja Morant being caught for the second time with a gun? For a second time in 2 months with a gun.
This perfectly lends itself to the first topic, right? He was suspended for 8 games the first time. They let him. He missed 8 games. He came back. They made the playoffs. Then got obliterated by the Lakers. Now he's off work, and he's on IG Live with his buddies, flashing a pistol after being caught
Idiot.
doing that at a club in Denver. And so you have this repeat offender doing the thing that he did, that he said he was sorry for, that he went to the shortest rehab in history. I think that man spent like maybe 45 minutes in rehab, said, nah,
8
this
days
ain't for me, and I'm
supposedly.
up out. He wasn't there for the whole
Kardashian
he
marriage.
was
No,
not there for the
no,
whole
I,
8 days,
I,
Kardashian
I can
marriage.
I didn't
guarantee you
believe
that.
it before. I agree with you.
And so now what should the NBA do and what steps can Ja do in order to fix this situation? So the first things first, the NBA is going to suspend him probably for majority, if not all of the season, to set an example, because
And
they slapped his wrist. He said he understood, and then he got to play. There wasn't a real punishment. They didn't miss out the playoffs. They didn't lose any draft picks. Nothing happened to the organization because they didn't step up and punish Ja accordingly. And so, in my eyes, they are the ones who really dropped the ball, not just the NBA in general,
mhm,
but the Memphis Grizzlies organization. They should have been like, look, in order for you to uh, keep this money in your contract, we're going to have some changes around here. Now, Ja will be able to appeal with the NBA Players Association, but they are allowed to fine you for conduct detrimental to the team. And this is not a good look for the NBA. This is not a good look for the Memphis Grizzlies. This is not a good look for Ja Morant himself. And so clearly, here you have a young man who, in his mind, doesn't think he's doing anything wrong, but he's inviting danger. He's inviting um,
mhm.
drama in his life that he doesn't need and that nobody believes anyway.
Well, so I've been talking to people about this since this morning, a few people, and my thoughts on it hasn't changed. I would like to see him sat down for a year. 82 games, he does not play. For some of the reasons that you said. Got caught with a gun, 8 days or 8 games he had to sit. Supposedly he went to some type of counseling. Obviously did not, or just didn't take.
Mhm.
What I see this as, and I was telling my buddy Dave this, and before we started the show, this is just a higher level in terms of income. Another example of where the system has to step in and help you with your child. You have the father who doesn't seem to be concerned with any of this. And if he is, his son isn't listening to him. Probably because you're down on the court out here wanting to get in the mix of things along with the players as if you are a player. It seems to be more concerned with hanging out with stars on the sideline, taking pictures, getting autographs. Your mother has called you to come and step into shit as well. She doesn't seem to be one who wants to protect you either. So you know what happens to young men, especially African American men in this country, when your parents do not want to step in and protect you from yourself? The system has to. In this case, the system for right now is going to be the NBA and the commissioner there. I would like for them to come in, step in, sit you down for 82 games. This man, for people who don't know, and I don't mean to get into weeds in the NBA, but I do think this is important, not because it's sports, because this deals with the system as a whole. This deals with people's kids who look up to this grown man who I heard people refer to as a kid today. He's not an 18, 19-year-old kid coming out of college. This is a grown man who plays a professional sport and has a child of his own. That's who this is. So that is what I would like to see. This is very important. You cannot. This kid, in my eyes, as far as age, this kid, this grown man was sat down for 8 games, Dion. Because of that, he lost out on an opportunity to become all NBA. For people out there who do not know, you become all NBA. Sometimes it's in your contract where you can get a bump in your pay. Because he missed out on that, he missed out on game checks, he missed out on another almost $40 million. He lost out.
Yep.
So if that cannot deter you from being an idiot out here dancing, rapping in a car with your homeboys or your friends or whatever, who your posse or whatever, and waving a gun for a second time, I don't know what will at this point other than sitting you down and taking more money out of your check. Because I guarantee you, if the NBA sits him down for significant time, Nike will back away from his ass, and so there goes that money too.
So he's probably going to lose his Powerade endorsements. He probably will lose his Nike endorsements because this is his second offense.
And that's like
And
another $30-40 million right there worth of deals.
right.
Mm.
So unless he actually like murders somebody, I don't think he's going to lose his NBA money. There's other than the fines that the team will levy on him and missing games because of suspension.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He's not gonna lose the majority of the $200 million deal that he signed.
He's gonna. I think he'll lose whatever if they sit him down for a year. I don't think they're gonna pay him.
He'll lose that year's worth
Yeah,
of
right.
game
Yeah,
checks. Yes, so that'll be what, another 30-40 million. So, but in the grand scheme of things, if you've already made 50, 60, 70, what's 30? It's not that big a deal. You're gonna be okay. His problem is that he doesn't see the long-term ramifications based off his basketball acumen. Ja's a very explosive player, right? He's in his early 20s, so athletically he hasn't hit his prime yet. But you lose a year's worth of competition against the highest players in the league, and you don't get to play against these guys on a regular basis. It's going to be very hard for him to maintain his skill level. When he does come back, if he ever comes back, he will have to prove why he was that dude in the first place. I think the issue really becomes his mindset about what he's trying to prove to the people in his circle. And I think that is where the league can't step in, his parents can't step in. It's only the people in his circle who really care about him or not care about him.
I disagree.
They're not going to, because the guy, it wasn't Ja Morant's Instagram live
Not this
that he
time.
got caught the second time, right? So you telling me that your boy done lost, a significant amount of money because of the first mistake that he made, and now you're riding in the car with him knowing he got a pistol on him, and you're gonna put him on camera? To me, that is the sign that Ja doesn't have any real friends, especially no grown adult men friends, mentors,
Agreed.
or people who can be role models for him. Clearly, his parents are not that for him.
Yeah.
So the question becomes, what can Ja do? If he doesn't take rehab seriously, he doesn't listen to these old heads on TV trying to give him game. I know Ron Artest wants to sit down with him, or excuse me, Meta World Peace wants to have a sit down with him, somebody who lost everything and, has
So
worked.
does a blood. A blood wants to sit down with him too.
Oh, Lord.
I mean,
a real blood.
so again, it to me, it all just seems like a game to him, and which unfortunately, if everybody knows, you play games long enough, you're gonna fucking lose.
Well, and here's another part of the conversation we have. When you're growing up in the inner city, and I don't know who out there who's watching has ever dealt with this. Deanna and I've never talked about this. August and I've never talked about this either. But when you're coming up and you're in those circles, if you are a smart kid or a athlete, they will keep you away from it. They will protect you. They will keep other motherfuckers who don't give two fucks about your future off of you as well. But if you insist on being a part of it, then them old heads, as Dion put it, will step away. I know this for a fact. Them fools kept me out of so much trouble growing up because I was a smart kid and they saw me going someplace with my life down the road. It is a weird thing that some of the people that you will know who commit some of the worst crimes, for some reason, have so much love and hope in you that they will protect you. And when you're
Yes.
Ja Morant or someone along those lines, you want to keep coming out here and hitting this and talking it, we gonna test you. And that is my concern outside of the money and his career. Somebody is going to test you out at one of these clubs. Everything we've heard about when it comes to Ja Morant, in my terms, he and his crew are a bunch of punks. Fuck with a high school girl and took her phone. You're smushing up a mall security guard in the face and telling him you're going to come back and see him. You over here messing with a kid who worked at Foot Locker. He had to lock himself in a supply closet so y'all couldn't get to him. I ain't heard one, or you pulling a gun out on a 17-year-old kid in your backyard. I ain't heard about y'all messing with no real motherfuckers. But you know what's going to happen?
Yeah.
Some real motherfuckers going to find you. And a motherfucker like me, I'll lay on my knees and pray that they do if you keep it up. And I won't be the only one.
Oh, my Lord.
As part of society, do you think that's right? Do you not think he should be able to
Good
be
God.
rehabilitated?
Hey, he had his chance to rehabilitate. He lied to all of us.
Sheesh.
Sat down with my guy Jalen Rose and just lied. We got any comments out there from me,
You
August?
know we did. Okay. So Bruce Bilter says he is stupid and throwing millions away to keep up with his boys. Anthony Temple says prison industrial complex. That might have been for the other
Yeah. Yeah.
thing.
What's up? What's up,
Bruce
man?
Belter says again. He says if he is suspended for the entire season, he needs to be sitting on the end of the bench for every game and on the bench for every practice. And then Marisa says, "How are you going to fire Dylan Brooks for talking trash on LeBron and losing, but they don't give a harsher punishment to Ja?" Which I absolutely agree with.
I'm gonna tell. Well, let
And
I'll
me.
then
tell.
Well,
Let
well,
me answer
I'll
that
stop there.
question.
go ahead, Dion.
Because Ja is much better than Dylan Brooks. That's why.
Well, that's
Don't get it confused. If you have
Is that what it
talent,
is?
you can get away with a lot more shit. Dylan Brooks was not as talented as his mouth was talking. And so, therefore, they were like, look, man, you poked the bear and you didn't back any of it up. And you cost us, in
Mm-hmm.
our opinion, to lose. Ja is a baller at the end of the day. So, when push comes to shove, he's got a lot more leeway than a guy like Dylan Brooks, who is only starting because they don't have anybody better.
I will push back a little bit on that. Yeah, Ja's a baller. We all know he's a baller. Very exciting to see. But their record was better without him when he was injured or sitting for whatever reason. It's not like they were losing game. I would
Yeah,
say
but
the
they don't make money off those
I
wins.
was
They
and
make
that's
money off Ja Morant.
I was just getting ready to say the bigger issue is John Morant is the youngest player to ever be in the top 10 of jersey sales in the NBA. That is why
Mm-hmm.
John Morant doesn't get any mouth from mom and daddy up there in the front office. August, what you got? Anything?
All right. Bruce Belter also says, and the Grizzlies need to put restrictions on him off the court as well. David James. David
Oh,
James says his publicist said he was sorry. Ja out here trying to be Ja Rule. He's a role model and trying to get clout the wrong way. It's wild out there in Memphis though. Oh wait, it's wild out there in Memphis though, man. Then someone put hashtag North North. That's what
is that it, August?
Orange Mountain. The Orange Mountain is rough, man. I heard about Orange Mountain. Good God. When I had to perform out there, it was chat. All right. Here's another Bruce Belter comment. You can't see my face on camera. Orange Mountain was different. It was different. Unfortunately, unless the NBA does something to him, someone else will hire a job if he is released. Owners are stupid. And Victoria says, yeah, they don't give a shit. He has to fix it himself and start losing that money. Then he'll learn. Hopefully.
Yeah, they're not releasing. That's for damn sure. He'll play in Memphis again. I just don't want it to be for a year. Did you have anything on your end at all, sir?
Tamiko says he has zero guidance. His daddy is a clown and could not possibly respect his mama. Gunplay not
Mm,
once, but twice.
Absolutely. As I said often on this show, I've never gotten into serious trouble. I've never done any drugs. I never sold drugs, never did anything. And to Tamiko's point, the reason I did it was because I never wanted my mother to have to tell anyone her oldest child was doing time. So, Tamiko,
mhm.
to your point, love it, love it, love it. All right, let's go ahead and hit our last segment of the show so we can get everybody out of here. Dion, what you got, sir?
My what the hell are we doing as a country? What CNN? What the fuck was that town hall? What the hell was that? What the hell was that? What the hell is up
They
with
just couldn't get their.
Twitter letting Tucker Carlson get it? What is going on? Look, there is opinion on the left, opinion on the right. Everybody's allowed to have their opinion. However, not everyone's opinion matters. If you think that the sky is made out of corn, it's an opinion, but it doesn't matter because it's not based in reality. Everybody's opinion must be based in reality. It can't be based off lies. It can't be based off bullshit. It can't be based off of, oh, well, I feel like the other guy's lying to get the deep state, blah, 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 lizard people and all this other dumb shit. If you're going to have an opinion, for it to matter, it has to be based in reality. We can argue about reality all day long. What we can't argue about is something that isn't real and doesn't affect anyone. So whether it's CNN, whether it's Twitter, whether it's Newsmax, whether it's MSNBC, whether it's you talking to your friends on Facebook, whether it's 4chan, whatever you're arguing about, do not argue with people who aren't based in reality, because that is literally a shit show, and that it's a waste of your time. That CNN town hall was just some of the most bonkers television. And I was like, why are we even doing this? The man is going to jail. He committed these crimes. They've got the evidence. We just got Rudy Giuliani on some voice tapes. It's just a shit show. Get it together, America. Get it together.
My what the hell this week is going to be, what the hell? Stop being surprised by my level of confidence. All right? When people ask me,
Oh Lord, can I get
ask-
up there?
See, like August right there. People ask me things all the time. How did that go? How was this? And look, my level of confidence is not for everybody. So I need you to know that when you come to me to ask me questions, when I tell you I'm going to be the biggest star on the planet, I absolutely believe that. You know why I absolutely believe it? Because that is what's going to fucking happen. When I say I want everyone to believe or to know when they wake up in the morning, thank God Sydney exists, because every dime I have in my pocket is in there because Sydney has something to do with it. That is because that is what is going to happen. Do not expect me to dim my light to make you feel better about yourself. If you feel
Amen.
like you were born to play a tree in the school play and you feel like the fourth grade teacher casted you accordingly, fine. But I was not and have never been. So please, what the hell? Stop being surprised by my level of confidence. Maybe step your game up. Get where I'm at. Thank you guys very much. This has been Not As Debatable. I do appreciate it. To August, I'm going to bring August back up on screen one more time so you all can see her, as she called it, her natural hairdo one more time.
My
Bring her
natural
back.
hair.
Her natural hair. You probably won't see it ever again.
Oh, they'll see it.
August, thank you very much. We appreciate you coming on, being our screener, reading the text
Go to your
messages and
right. There you
whatnot.
go.
Yeah, you ain't sweet. All right. So thank you guys very much. Everyone, have
Yeah.
yourselves a great week. The squad, as you see it, will be back and next Monday. Have a great week.
Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe and share button on all
Absolutely.
the platforms. Thank you guys.
August, think
Good
it's
night. That's fine. Look.